Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we are going to talk about the Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia welterweight title fight that's going down this Saturday in Dallas, Texas at the Cowboy Stadium. Now, this is a fight that we have been waiting on for a long time. We have had a good round robin going on in the welterweight division between Danny Garcia, Thurman, Porter, and now Errol Spence is jumping in that mix. And so we've got very intriguing fight here, a lot of question marks, and we're going to break that down, talk about some tactics, and I know you're going to like what you hear from us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and then hit the bell icon so you can get the notifications when we upload our videos, because afterwards we got to do a recap and talk about what we did and what we got wrong versus what we got right. So that's what we're going to do here. First, talk about how we feel the fight's going to go. So I'm going to let Rob start off, and then we'll start going back and forth. Take it away, Rob.
Okay, so this is a very high-level matchup between two great welterweight fighters in a very deep welterweight division. We have Errol,
the truth.
Just making sure, Errol the Truth, taking on Danny. I can't remember. He has
Swift.
one too. But the Danny Dynamite Garcia, I don't know.
No, Swift.
Huh?
Swift
Garcia. I'm sorry. It has been that long since we've seen these guys fight, and 2020 has happened. But that's neither here nor there. This is an interesting matchup. We haven't seen these guys. We haven't seen Spence since his last fight against Sean Porter in September of last year. And if I'm not mistaken, we saw Danny Garcia early this year. I want to say he fought Adrian Granados. But we'll have to.
He fought Ivan Redkach.
Ivan Redkach. For that, he fought Granados.
Yeah, and that was in April of 2019. January of this year, he fought Ivan Redkach.
Okay, so let me really think. Going back, it was Redkach, Granados, and Sam Vargas.
No, Sean Porter, Brandon Rios, Keith, and Vargas. So let's just say his resume as of late hasn't really been the greatest, but you gotta fight to get paid, and we all know want to get paid. Yep. So yeah, he fought twice in 2018. He fought Rios and Porter. He only fought once in 2017. That was against Keith Thurman. He fought twice in 2016, once in 2019, and this will be his second fight of 2020.
So there's two things that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the physical aspects, skills, technique, physicality, but there's also a mental aspect for both these fighters in this particular fight. Knowing that Errol Spence is a southpaw, he's very polished, very strong, does not rush the knockout, but he does let it come to him, and he takes advantage every time he has the chance. He was able to knock down a very tough Sean Porter in his last fight, and that was, well, to me, it wasn't a surprise, but I think a lot of people were shocked because Sean Porter is a very rugged, strong, intense fighter, and for him to be able to take advantage of him coming in and landing those punches to knock him down said a lot about him. I see him doing that again. He's got a very good jab. He's very patient, and I can see him keeping Danny Garcia at the end of his punches for the majority of the fight. He's got a fencer-like technique. The only problem is, and this may not be a huge problem, but it's going to be the counter over that jab, and his opponent stepping to his right. We know that Kell Brook made the fight with Spence very competitive, but at the end of the day, he knocked him out in the 11th round. Yeah. I could see this fight going similar to that, but Danny Garcia is not as big and not as physical as Kell Brook. While he may be just as fast and just as athletic, he doesn't throw very super straight, crisp, to the point shots, but he tends to wing his punches. He throws looping shots, but he throws them with such force and torque that he's able to catch his opponents off guard and pretty much put them to sleep.
Yeah. And another thing I noticed with Garcia is he does not punch in like lengthy combinations. Both Keith Thurman and Sean Porter were able to outwork him by throwing a lot more punches, especially when they got together in those tight spaces. And that was kind of like the difference in a lot of those in both of those fights. Both guys were able to punch 3, 4, 5 times, where Garcia is only going to throw like 3 tops. Same thing with, like when he fought Herrera, that was one of the knocks that Garcia had, which is why a lot of people thought that Herrera won that fight. So, but all of his opponents all agree that Danny Garcia can crack. So when he hits you, it's going to be an effective punch. So what Spence is going to need to do is, like you said, he's going to be having those winging shots. So he's going to have to get off and then get either under or back out in order to eliminate that counter opportunity, or smother him so those counters aren't there. Because I do believe that Errol Spence is going to be the slightly faster fighter. He's going to be able to get to the punch quicker than Danny. And most of the guys that he fought are like that. It's just that Danny has really good timing to where he can catch you, and then he's got the power to get your respect and make you not rush things and not make mistakes. So for this, that's one of the main things we want to see. Like, how does Errol Spence play the range game against Danny Garcia? We know he likes to put pressure on people. We know he likes to work to the body. So is he going to like stay in close, or is he going to kind of fight him like he did Mikey Garcia, where he stays at range and uses his jab and scores points for the remainder of the night?
So what I've noticed, and you made this point as well, Porter and Thurman were able to outwork Garcia. Another fight that I watched was the Robert Guerrero fight. Again, that's a fight that he was able to win, but that was another fight that he was able to win, but Robert Guerrero presented a lot of problems that I didn't see the first go round. Again, being a southpaw, Garcia was able to counter over the top, but Robert Guerrero was also able to do the same thing. Another thing that Robert Guerrero did when he had success is put pressure on Garcia, force him to move backwards. It's one thing when Garcia moves backwards on his own accord. He wants to control the ring. He wants to control distance. He wants to stay within himself. But when he's forced to do anything outside of his comfort zone, move back, chase, work rate, then he becomes a lot more vulnerable. Again, Robert Guerrero had success pushing him back. Keith Thurman was making Garcia come to him. He's that much more athletic. He's got more pop. He's got more foot speed, but he likes to stay on the outside. He's a hit and runner. Garcia, on the other hand, does not want to have to chase a guy around, but he does not also want to be forced out of his comfort zone. So Errol Spence, being the fact that he can outwork his opponent, the fact that he can provide pressure and get downhill when he decides that he wants to do that, and the fact that he, to me, is faster, more athletic, and tends to constantly be in punch position against Garcia, he could actually force Garcia to punch off his back foot. And being that he will duck down and throw a bunch of looping shots, he's either not going to have the power or the accuracy to land on Errol Spence. So that's what I'm looking for in this fight from Spence, is the force action make Garcia uncomfortable, make him throw shots that he's really not comfortable with throwing off angles that, takes a little bit of his power away or a little bit of his timing away. And one thing that Garcia has is great timing, especially on his left hook.
Yeah. And Sean Porter and Keith Thurman were both able to negate that by rolling under it after they threw their shots. Now, I don't really see Errol Spence doing that a lot. He's not a roller. He more so catches punches. He's a catch and shoot type of guy. So another thing to look for is, if Danny lands those punches on his guard, does it move him? Or is he able to catch and fire right back? Because like I said earlier, Danny Garcia isn't going to throw more than 2 punches. He's going to throw left, right, or right, left, or hook, uppercut, jab, cross. It's not going to be a sustained combination that's coming from Danny Garcia. If he throws those 2 punches and either they land or they don't, he's either going to try and grab you or he's going to move away. So Spence is going to, like you said, going to have to make him uncomfortable, push him back, get him to those ropes, and not allow Garcia to tie him up. Now, Spence being the larger guy, I don't really see him getting super tied up. He may be able to start muscling him later on in the fight, or maybe even early in the fight. But that's something that, a lot of us are seeing as an advantage that Errol Spence has also. So one of those question marks we got to talk about is the car accident of Errol Spence. I mean, he had a life-threatening situation to where he could have lost his life. He could have ended his career. But almost a year after having that accident, he's back in the ring against a top competitor. And a lot of people are wondering if, even though it is not he didn't have any immediate injuries, there could be some long-term things going on with that. So do you think that'll be a factor in this fight?
I think it will be a factor if not physically. And again, we aren't inside Errol Spence's body. We don't know how he feels or if he's even shared how he feels with his trainers or the doctors, or maybe he's thinking of something else. We don't know if he has the same foot speed or hand speed. Granted, it seems like he's come back very quickly because we've all seen that footage from that car accident. I think he was thrown. Yeah, I think he was thrown from the car. So the car itself took some hellacious damage, and he might have been lucky that he was thrown from the car and not landed in any way that he could have lost his life or movement in any of his extremities. So this is miraculous in itself, to not just be up walking around, physically able to live his life, but also competing against a high-level opponent on a huge stage. So what we're looking at is he's either extremely motivated or this is a return to normalcy for him. And that's what we want, because not only is he coming back from the accident, but we're dealing with the pandemic in 2020. So it's a lot there, how he can handle it physically and mentally. And we don't know if there's any kind of PTSD from that. At the very least, we hope that he's learned to take better care of himself outside of the ring.
Right.
Because I think alcohol did have a factor in that.
Yeah. And based on the interviews, that's what he's been saying. So it kind of refocused him on what's important. And from what I've heard from some of the gossip channels and some, that he's even training harder than he was pre-accident. And I think I heard a soundbite of him saying that he would start to take off time in between fights, and then he got to the point where he would only train when he had a fight. And after this, it got him back in the gym, just perfecting his craft. And he's also sparring a lot more. He's training harder, from what the people in his camp is saying. And that could also end up playing a factor that maybe that accident and then him training harder, maybe when it's go time after he's shed that weight and depleted his body to get down to that weight, maybe it has a detrimental effect. We don't know until we actually see him in there under those bright lights with a live opponent trying to hurt him. And so that's a really good, intriguing factor in this fight. Even though, like, if everything but that, I see Errol Spence winning this fight pretty easily. But that is a big intangible that can sway it into Danny's favor.
Yeah, I see Errol Spence winning this fight as well. If he is training harder, perfecting his craft to his pre-accident, and that's just adding on to his pre-accident ability, then we're going to see a different level going forward. We're going to see a guy who not only appreciates what the game has done from him, but done for him, and what his hard work has done for him, but just appreciating the craft itself, the lifestyle, not the glitz and glam of boxing, but what it actually does for him mentally and emotionally, and appreciating boxing as a factor in his life. I would say it from not just a sport, but you know how martial arts has that positive effect on people in life, not just physically. So That's a very interesting point. I would like to bring up this from Danny Garcia, and I saw someone brought this up. I think I saw that Brad had brought it up, was Danny Garcia's mental going into this fight. We know he is probably a Hall of Fame, at the point where he's a Hall of Fame level fighter. He's a Hall of Fame fighter. I mean, he's only 32. He's probably got maybe 3 years of true prime left, where he, you know, at some point he's going to decline, but he's lost his two most high profile fights against Thurman and Porter. And the last thing that he wants is to lose a third versus Errol Spence. And we know it's one thing to be a fighter, but you want to remain on that level and not come down to a minus fighter, because we know Porter, great fighter, possibly Hall of Fame himself. I wouldn't say the best, because he has his losses, and of course Thurman has the one loss to an all-time great in Pacquiao. So he can't really say I haven't faced the greatest, or my one loss is to a guy who is the who's who of boxing in the welterweight division and lower. So he's got to make a statement on his own. So is he going to do something outside of himself? Is he going to be that motivated? Is he going to be able to bring one of those A++ performances against a A+ fighter?
Right.
And of course, we mean this is more fights on the horizon for both these guys. We know Terrence Crawford is sitting there waiting to get to these PBC guys. We know there's some up and coming young, hungry guys in if I'm not mistaken, Jaron Ennis is in the welterweight division. Virgil Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken. So it's some guys in this division coming up that will be fighting them within the next year or two. And they're going to be looking to fight those big money guys. And Danny Garcia wants to remain a big money guy. So that's
and also he doesn't want to be the guy that's kind of like the stepping stone for those guys to make it to the Spencers and the Porters and the Thurmans and the Pacquiaos and maybe the Crawfords. We gotta, you know, the jury's still out on Crawford, and this video isn't about him, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that. But yeah, let's, you know, decision or knockout. What do you think?
I like Danny Garcia. He has shown to be pretty tough, if not have some questionable wins or wins that seem like gifts, but he has not been knocked out, and he has fought some hard hitters. He has fought some guys who physically are better than has physical attributes that are better than his, but he has come through time and time again, whether it's physical strength, whether it's power, whether it's speed, whether it's athleticism. So I see him really fighting to the very end and losing a unanimous decision. I see this going to Spence.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way. I think towards the later rounds, he may fade a bit, but Porter had a pretty good body attack on him also. And I know a lot of people were saying that was going to lead to a Spence stoppage, but Danny Garcia is a durable guy. we've only seen him hurt maybe once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
So if Errol Spence is able to stop him, that's a good statement for him, being that neither Thurman or Porter could do it. So yeah, I'm going with a 7-5, 8-4 type decision for Errol Spence also.
Yeah. So there you have it, people. We're going with Spence by unanimous decision on the comeback. And just let us know what you think.
Yeah, hit us up in the comment section. How do you think the fight's going to go? Who's going to win? What tactics you think they're going to use to get to that win? And we'll wrap with you back and forth. Let them know where you can find us on social media, Rob.
You can find us at CapitalofCombat at Facebook and Instagram. Unfortunately, there's some more Google Plus, but you can still email us at CapitalofCombat if you have any questions for us that you would like us to put in the video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and share with your friends so you can bring them in and chat with us and get the latest and greatest from Capital of Combat.
Yeah, also don't forget we're also on Instagram as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. Stay tuned for the recap. Like Rob said, hit that bell icon so you can see that when it's up. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Till then, fight on.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and gone. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick ground, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.